Hello everybody and welcome back to the Realistic Formula Championship. It's another pre-season test today. This time it's Division 1 who are out there at the moment, currently just under halfway through their first test session. And it's currently Malachi with the quickest time, the driver winning the championship last season. Looking to start on the same footing once again. Well, start even better, with even better footing, considering he didn't even take part in pre-season of last season. But he is going well so far. After seeing Rio Harris going for a very much high fuel run at this point. Running wide out to that final corner. So he sets the time, which is quite a way off his best, but 31.8 laps of fuel on board that Ferrari. So he's certainly not going for it too much. G's though as well. Out there, G's van Leuven. Improving the middle sector, but on high fuel as well. Or the McLaren. There we go. 1.2 seconds off the best time we've seen, but this is not about that sort of running. Malachi, though, on worn-out tyres out there, but seems to be finding a little bit of time on this lap, despite that. Goes into turn 11. This might be his last lap of this run. This run, which has consisted of 7 laps, and his tyres already nearly 60% worn, so interesting data to be gathered. And you can see the tyre wear effects there as he crosses the line and does improve on his lap time by about 0.3 of a second. To go a little bit closer. A little bit further in front. Check in. Yep, everything's working okay. So, Malachi validating on this lap. Nobody's really pushing on too much. See Jake in the Red Bull with 89 laps of fuel. Very representative run there from Jake. I think it's 89 laps. Maybe it's 89 kilograms. If we ride on board and then peer down, I think it's 89 kilograms, because I think it says 49 on the steering wheel. But either way, it's more fuel than you'd have in the race by far. No race at Bahrain, of course, anyway, so this is just about finding where you are. There we go for Jake. Looks like Alex out there in the Racing Bulls on a fresh set of tyres. A little bit of fuel in the car, just finding a bit of time. He runs down towards turn 11. And the Scotsman places the car quite well. Takes a lot of curve in 13. Is on a decent lap. His G's crosses the line there, goes into second place. 2.5 tenths to Malachi. Alex crosses the line, third place. So this is Edward Isham out on the track in the Sauber, got a podium in the last race of last season, driving for Ferrari on that occasion. And it's shown good enough for Sauber to bring him in. Part of a deal which saw Rio Harris go the opposite way and into the Scuderia. Parker seems to be up, or just finding a bit of time on this longer run he's currently partaking in. There he does cross the line, but doesn't beat his time from before. So no Ghosts also just taking things chill, validating on this current lap, but not really going to be too bothered by that, I don't think. He's just finding the limits of that new Aston Martin car that he's driving. He drove for RB, All the Racing Bulls team last season. Moved now to Aston Martin. Validation out there from Alex. Parker this time on a better lap again, I think. Into 13. Is on a good lap. 7/10 up in the middle sector. On decent bit of fuel. Seems like about 26 laps of fuel, so looking promising for Williams. Malachi now out there again on another run. On similar fuel, slightly less fuel than Parker, who crosses the line and goes into second place. Just 2/10 off Malachi. Here is Buck, who's just running these tyres into the ground, it seems. 68% wear roughly at the moment. He runs in last position of those currently in the session. Adam there, Polish driver. Adam, I'm going to have to actually work out what the pronunciation is, but we will get there eventually. Fluck, again with another pretty consistent lap time based on what he's done before. Didn't seem to make too much sense, but we'll go along with it. Malachi on a much better lap again on these new tyres. Set his previous best on quite warm tyres, so it's not surprising to see. But he says he's on an outlap, but he's definitely not. And his time is not working, but he's definitely up, as you could see. The timer as he met the sector split there. You can see the way he's deploying ZRS. Alex there ahead, goes quickest before it's replaced by Malachi. The 1:30.380. So, lap time still not quite as quick as the practice from yesterday, but Division 2, I don't think they're at those times yet, but still half a session to go, and obviously lower fuel loads to come. Harris in the second place there. Drofux currently behind Parker, and he'll comfortably get by. on the run to turn 11. Dropbox to the top of turn 12. And into turn 13, a bit of a wobble, which is going to cost him all the way down. The run to turn 14, the last real corner on the racetrack. There is a turn 15, which is there, but not really a corner. Dropbox crosses the line and still goes third quickest, behind only Harris and Malachi. James Nias running wide. It's to keep his lap though. Now he's got traffic here. Comes in the form of Ijam, and he has to back out. Was 4 tenths up in his previous best, but Sauber on his own program, and not good timing from Ferrari there. Malachi finding time in the first sector. Let's listen in to turn 10. There we go then from Malachi, who was basically matching his time, but decides to come into the pit lane. Rio Harris, meanwhile, finding a purple middle sector. In behind Danny Svart there. In the Mercedes. And can Harris get the time needed to beat Malachi? Seems to have got it as he crosses the line, and does by just over 1/10 of a second for Harris. Behind though, James Nias with a purple middle sector on the exact same fuel load as Rio Harris. Rio Harris finding more time in the first sector again. It's the quickest time for Nias. But Rio going quicker once again in the first sector. Up to the top. In 12, but he's 7 tenths down now. Slaps him maybe. Bit of recharge. And he's burning his battery, it seems. He's only got 30% left. So we'll see, as I think Senor Ghosts behind is on a good lap, but he's going to meet a bit of traffic. Traffic is Jake Fluck, still on old tyres, 86% now. Is he surprised to not see a puncture on the Red Bull? That would have held Senna up, and he runs wide at the last corner, which is not ideal whatsoever. Tezza, meanwhile, who seems to be quite a way up on this lap. Crosses the line to go into 8th place. We join Alex here, going into turn 13. Purple in the middle sector, not far off Marius's time. Slightly less fuel than the Ferraris, but certainly promising for Racing Bull, who did impress in F2, it's fair to say, last season, and now crosses the line with the quickest time by a tenth and a half. And seems like Ferrari is getting to the last corner. Malachi back out there again. And 32% tyres for the McLaren. About 2.7 kilograms of fuel, 1.4 laps. Taking a lot of curb in turn 6, 7. This is turn 8. Bring the car in. Bit of wheel spin on the exit. That will not be doing his rear tyres any good, but or his lap time. But it's all about finding the balance that works for you with these cars. Malachi was up in the first sector, marginally over his previous best. He throws it into turn 11. The world champion, who was knocked out in Q2 at this venue last season before finishing on the podium despite a 3-second penalty, and looking like he's going better this time. But that was mainly due to not doing another run, I think, when he thought he was safe. And that cost him a bit wide at the last corner, but he should still improve his lap time. And he does there in the 3rd place. Senogos is once again on a better lap. He's into turn 11. That was turn 13, down towards 14. Flock now out there on new tyres after there was a puncture, probably. And Ghosts crosses the line to go into 6th position, 1.1 seconds off the pace, set by Alex, the Scotsman. So Tezza in the Sauber did end the season driving for Sauber last season. Season 5, last season F1 24, now F1 25. And, well, the last thing I can remember from Tezza last season was, well, they're invalidating there, but he had a bit of a spin in Abu Dhabi, but I'm sure it's not going to affect him too much, and he'll be right back there fighting and giving it everything for this season. As here is Fluck now on another long run, but finding time. Also got Danny in the Mercedes just in the background, also improving on the soft tyres with only a couple of laps of fuel, so that's an interesting one to see from Danny. What sort of pace he can put on the board. It's Fluck first. Fluck into 7th. Then it's Danny. Danny crosses the line, only goes 3rd on the soft tyres. But okay. Also other soft tyre runners compare. Rio Harris now on a proper soft tyre run. I think the lap time before was not on the soft tyres. Harris now. 6.5 tenths up. wide of the apex, turn 14. I'm sure this is still going to be good enough to go quickest, and is by 7.5 tenths, just over that. Jake marginally down on his own previous best through the first two sectors. Malachi now out there on an outlap on the softs as well, so we'll see what his pace is. Low fuel run, basically a quali run from Malachi to come. So we'll watch this first, Jake cross the line. But then we'll get to see what Malachi's got. Danny is off at the last corner. Oh no, Danny. There is what on earth? What on earth is James Myers doing? I've got no idea. Let's watch Malachi then and listen in. There we go then, that's the quickest lap from Malachi. As at the first corner, drop hooks causing mischief it seems. But there we go. Edward. We're crawling. He got a puncture as well. He certainly does. How many laps even done? 15 laps, and that's a puncture. Alex. Finding a decent chunk. Not quite on Malachi's pace, but it's good for the Racing Bulls. Makes his way to the line. Improves, stays in third place. Improved by about half a second. Harker is out there. And a little bit unsteady, but he's finding time on this set of soft tyres as we get into the final 13 minutes of this first test session of Division 1. Alex once again, I think finding time out there as well. No, it's just a bit of a glitch on my end. But Parker is certainly finding time. We'll see him into the last corner. And again loses a back end, it seems, or potentially lag on that aspect. He does cross the line and go into fourth place. James Nias out there on a very low fuel run as well. That seems to clap the curve in turn 10, which is, I think, an ideal racing line, but I'm sure it's okay, but a bit wide again at 11. Not as clean as we've seen. Nice. 2.5 tenths down. This is a low fuel run, so the same fuel as Malachi, basically. This will be his only lap he can do. And he crosses the line to go into third place ahead of Alex. You've also got Dropbox behind, but he's invalidated the lap, but he was finding time. Wonder, is he going to go again? Has he got the ERS? No, not on there. What happens between Senor and RB? Well, from my information, Senor has got front wing damage, but I have no idea where that came from truthfully being honest. So, RB causing trouble? Probably seems likely, but Danny is apparently on an outlap, but is he? Because he seems to be finding time. Seeing his ERS levels. I think something's going wrong with this F1 25 telemetry, I think. They might need to patch something because it's giving information that drivers are on outlaps that happens on the straight you showed but was behind billboard. Yeah, I probably wasn't paying attention, to be fair. I mean, you can watch the stream back. It is on the channel. It will be. The VODs is always going to be there. Or even when the stream's going, you can still watch it. But anyway, that front wing damage has been fixed. And Harris lighting up the timing boards. Harris goes quickest by 2.5 tenths. It seemed like Danny was potentially having an issue at turn 4. Not sure, but then he spins coming out of turn 7. And we'll look to try not to get in the way of other cars. Like that. He's just spinning up his tyres now. He's racking up the tyre wear. He'll now get going before the Williams of Parker if he can get the car straight. Still burning up the rear tyres, now over 60%. Whoa. Something doesn't seem right there. Anyway. Malachi on a better lap. But he goes wide at the last corner. And that ends him in invalidation. G's, meanwhile, on some lower fuel on the medium tyres and goes in the 4th place for the F2 Mini Championship champion of Season 5. Valid lap as well. One actually on a valid lap. Dropbox is on an out lap. Send your ghost back out on the track. G's is being controlled by AI. So Tezza making his way. Turn 11. Just over 6.5 minutes to go in this first test session. Tezza gets to the end of the middle sector. 1.7 seconds down, so he's in that space between Parker and Dropbox at the moment. He would feed into that gap if he can get this final sector completed in ample time. He crosses the line to go into that gap. 9th place. Parker did improve behind by just under a tenth and a half. Just under a second off Harris's time now. James Nyhus towards the last corner. And spins just as we see him, and he manages to hit the wall. He resets, or it resets him. One of them is Alex. It's back there into the pit lane. Roberts in the Alpine. Looks to be quite a way up, over a second up. Indeed, good does improve by about just over a second. The Senor Ghosts there. Cuts the beam in 7th. And Tezza is not improving this lap. Alex in the pit lane. Malachi pit lane. Perfect. Not a push lap either. We'll see Jake Fluck on a push lap now. We're right on board for this. And listen in. So Jake Fluck with the quickest time we've seen of this test, as someone's off there at the first corner. Tezza just getting out of the way. Whoa, Dropbox. What's going on there? Into the gravel. As Edward goes through. Alex in the Racing Bulls, finding time. These are all qualifying sims now. First ones of the season. Malachi also out there, Harris. They all want to be the ones that set the quickest time in session 1. This is just going to be like the end of qualifying, I think. It's Alex. 6 tenths down on Fluck. See what the order is here then. Fluck is coming up too. Last corner now, he's got no fuel remaining, so I think Fluck is done for this session. Alex M, 5th place. So, who is there? Because we got, I think, Edward. Edward is finishing a lap for Sauber. This is Tezza, who might just be the first one of these lots on qualifying sims at the end of this session. So Tezza tackling turn 1. But Edwards, teammate up the road, who's not particularly slowing up, he's just doing his own program. So we'll see what Tezza can do in the first sector before the Saubers meet. G's and Malachi starting times as well on the soft compound. Edward retiring there at turn 7 from the session, so that's going to leave Tezza with a nice clear run to turn 10 over the curbs on the exit. Looks pretty steady and not snapping. Malachi with a purple first sector. Rear Harris slightly down on his previous best. We'll see what G's can do. G's beats both of them in the first sector. Tezza 1.5 seconds down. Behind Tezza, it's Parker. And then it's Dropbox. And then it's Harris. It's a hive of activity here. James Norris has finished this session. He will not be getting another lap on the board. Tezza crosses the line into 11th place. Now it's Parker to cross the line and into 7th. And then it's Dropbox who crosses the line, goes into 9th. Harris makes the line, improves, but not by enough to beat Fluck. It's Malachi, the next one, the world champion, looking to be the quickest in this first session, but he misses out. But G's is finding a heap of time through the first 2 sectors. Could G's get it right at the end? Yes, he can. And it's nearly by 0.3 of a second. As Senor crosses the line, he's only in 8th. And we end session 1 with G's Van Leuven topping the times. Well then, there we are. Session has been topped by G's right at the death. Welcome back to pre-season testing from Bahrain, where we've already had a session in the daylight, and now it's time for the dark conditions out there. As we've already got a Ferrari there, Harris out there, and many drivers out there, it seems, for this second session. Not quite as many as the first session, but at least we've still got a few to see what their lap times, how they're looking. Nias peels into the pit lane, so we'll watch this from Harris on the soft tyres. The first lap to be put on the board for the new Ferrari man in this session. He now makes his way down towards that turn 11. Track just getting rubbered in again for this session, so don't expect to see groundbreaking lap times just yet. But you can certainly come to expect to see cars pushing more as there's more and more grip as the session goes on. Harris now goes quickest. Only one with a time on the board. G's, who topped the first session. G's Van Leuven in turn 14. He was in the second place, 1.4 seconds off the soft tyre run of Harris. There is Mr. Speed. Getting a time on the board. Two Saubers. Be crossing the line soon. Tezza, 5 seconds off that lap. And there, Edward Ijam goes second quickest. As James Nias tries to pinch a slipstream. Senor Ghost just crossed the line to go into fourth. James Nias misses the apex of turn 13, a couple of tenths down on the Rio Harris. Again, this is the apex of turn 14 and invalidates the lap at that last corner. Ghosts. Not lamps, it seems. G's goes into second place. Just under 7/10 off. For speed. Crosses the line. Does manage to improve, I think. This is the Williams of Parker, who does improve time, but not position. Tezza across the line. Samuel Ghosts getting to the end of this lap. Improves his time and his position. Fourth place for the Aston Martin. And you will see Jake Fluck not done any laps so far. James Nyers on an out lap, potentially looking to get the first valid lap on the board in this session. And here he goes. James Nyers puts in this lap. Vera Harris out there again on a low fuel soft tyre run. The quickest time so far. And he might be trying to improve again. Well, I mean, should be improving on a new set of the soft compound. Nice to the end of this lap. Crosses the line to go second, only behind his teammate. Slightly down in the first sector, but there's surely time to be found. So Harris proves his time. He's the quickest driver out there in this second session. That is for G's. Parker. An improving lap on a long run. James Nice has got front wing damage, as has Edwards, so something's gone on there, which has cost them their wings. And that was very clearly track limits. Aston Martin off there, Senor Ghost off the track, but we'll see what G's can do. Is G's in second place. Looks like Jake Fluck on a push lap. So Jake there going quickest by just over a tenth and a half. And here is an improving Sauber of Edward. Tezza, 6th place. Valid lap. Senor Ghosts looks to be improving here. And does. 7th place. Yeah, Harris now out there on a long run for Ferrari. Kai Harris wants an invite to the session, but I'm sure that can be granted in a minute. Well, at least you don't have the same 3 letters. I'm just trying to get a few thumbnails here. Whoa! Down the inside goes Edward and makes contact with Senior Ghosts in pre-season. They're racing already. And wow. Oh, well. Right, we'll get this invite sent. Am I blind? Do I actually? Maybe? I'm not seeing you online or on my friends list at all in that matter. That will probably help. Yeah, it's all good. I think I've accepted it. Maybe I'll refresh. There we go. There we are. Get an extra driver in for the last 38 minutes or so. There's pastry in the Williams. No, pastry's. Wait, what? Yeah, he races for Mercedes now. So, presume he'll be taking over Mercedes' duties for this test. Or maybe not. Maybe he's in an Aston Martin, apparently. Could you put your settings on, please and thank you? If you're watching this stream now. Tezza. They were on last time, but they're not on now. Look. Tezza. Over for a second, but that was just that corner cut. There we go, the settings have been switched on, I think. There we go. Kai Harris enters the fray. 2 Harrises out there. Yes, the setting does work now. And we'll see Parker. There we are for Parker, 7th place. That is a lap controlled by AI. Not a push lap from James Nyhus in terms of qualifying sim. This is more of the race sort. Makes way into turn 13. Race trim all about being smooth and maximising your stints. And he seems to take a bit of debris onto his tyres. And then up to the line. Look at that. Good luck. Taking the slipstream. And Fleck moves away from the Ferrari. That is G's getting wheeled back into pit box. Parker's been on a long run and has now completed 11 laps in this session. 12 actually, I think, as he crossed the line. One of my telemetries say one less than the other, so one of those counts is correct. Maybe one of them counts an out lap or counts an in lap when it shouldn't. Mythos Speed. Not seen much of Mythos Speed so far, so we'll have a little look. Mythos Speed's name will reflect in Mythos Speed by the start of the season. It's just that it's got quite a long name, which means that some extra additions need to be made in order to allow that sort of name to fit. Kai Harris in his first lap in the Aston Martin. And is the slowest, but on a decent bit of fuel. Yellow flag. That's at turn 8, where we see James Nyers and Jake Fluck seemingly coming to blows. A bit of an interesting line there from James. And these two seem to be racing. Potential move here. Jake Fluck defends. James Nyers will get a great run. Oh, Jake Fluck and Little Speeds there ghosted now. James Nyers on the inside, they lock on. And Jake Fluck's facing the wrong way. Mythos Speeds also spinning out at turn 13. And we get a bit of excitement from a few drivers. Mythos Speeds burning out his tyres. He might have a puncture now. I think he's just about okay for now, but I'm sure he'll be getting a puncture soon. Over 80% wear. He seems to have backed out of this lap after the traffic of the Salbers up in front. Edward will be going for it. Jake Fluck. And they're still going at it. It's now Harris also getting involved. This is Harris on the inside. James Nyers on the outside. Jake Fluck on the inside of James Nyers and gets turned around. So here we go then with James Nyers. Rio Harris defends it. Can Nyers get the cut back? And they will run wheel to wheel. Oh, towards turn 13 and still wheel to wheel. James Nyers locks on to Rio Harris and has to stay behind, but this might not be done yet. Into the last corner. And James Nyers is gaining in the slipstream. Into turn 1, both with DRS. And James Nyers going to go around the outside. Jake Fluck takes the corner cut method. And Rio Harris is still ahead. And there is Jake Fluck being gained on. Kai Harris has moved into 9th place. As down the inside goes Rio Harris on Jake Fluck, wheel to wheel into turn 4. And they collide. But nothing too serious happens. James Nyers still there. As Fluck tries around the outside of Harris and actually gets a really good run here. And here we go. Harris goes off. And through goes James Nyers on Jake Fluck. Can he get the pair of them? Hands being thrown up in the air as James Nyers. Oh, Fluck. Fluck slides away. And the Ferraris now collide. As well. This has turned into an open lobby experience, it seems. Fluck. James Nyers still trying to get past. Rio Harris, he goes in deep. Jake Fluck cuts the corner. Jake Fluck gets ahead of the pair of them. Rio Harris in second place. Jake Fluck with the brake test. Rio Harris has to react. Bounces off the pit wall. And through goes James Nyers as Jake Fluck and Rio Harris collide. They go into the pit wall. That's a broken front wing for the pair of them. And now Jake Fluck. Whoa, what's going on there with James Nyers? And James is just locking onto Jake here. They're taking each other wider and wider. And off they both go into the gravel. As that's now another driver with Jake Fluck has collided with. He's collided with both Ferraris. I mean, they've also collided with him, to be fair. James hasn't got a broken front wing yet, so something's not quite added up. As the other two have got broken right side of their front wings. Anyway, anybody on a serious lap? I think G's might be on a serious lap, but he might just encounter these few on his way. They're going towards the last corner. And they're still going at it. They've all got plenty of fuel to keep going. That ahead is Kai Harris. And those three seem to collide into the pit lane as G's goes quickest by just over a tenth of a second. They're all seemingly in the pit lane. I'm not quite... They all just arrived at the same time, so I don't know whether they pushed each other into the pit lane or exactly what happened, but that was it. Anyway, sure, that's a taste of what's to come this season. Let's see some actual laps potentially. Kai Harris across the line and does improve by a few tenths. And she's back into the pit lane. Jake Fluck still in the pits as Rio Harris emerges. Little speed to the last corner. And this Sauber Aston Martin and Haas train. And Little Speed goes into 7th place, and he's going to have a great run here at the Aston Martin of Samuel Ghosts. And they go wheel to wheel. And Mythos Speed ends up in front. Can Senor Ghosts get it back? James Nyhus off the racing line. Senor Ghosts with a big snap. And ahead we got Edward Jean. But these three having a bit of a scrap as well. James Nyhus wants to get involved. There goes Mythos Speed down the inside into turn 10. Edward Isham will try to get this back. And runs in deep. Is that going to allow Senor Ghosts to have a look? James Nyhus is keeping these two in his sights. And is he going to send it down the inside on Senor Ghosts? He does on Senor Ghosts. Not quite on Edward just yet. But maybe into the last corner. He looks for it. He takes the curve. And now he's got the run. Kicks Alba though. Doesn't want to let the Ferrari go, but it's a dive bomb move into turn one. Runs in deep. Gets the place, and we'll get a run on Tezza as well, who is severely off track. Yeah, the head FIA is actually not here for like the next few days or something, so yeah. I probably shouldn't have said that, to be fair, because it's not like they're racing. They're racing like there's no FIA there anyway. Doesn't really matter if they know he's there or not. James Nice goes around the outside. And Mythal Speed back around the outside, wheel to wheel. Mythal Speed is ahead. But again they're going to go wheel to wheel. There we are. Jake Fluck is still in the pit lane. And is anybody else going to try and move? Jeez is actually out there on a serious lap, so we'll have a little look. Validates at the last corner. Yeah, well, technically, Trixie is still here. That's Adam. That person in 11th hasn't got the setting enabled, so it shows as player. And there we are, Parker, the 5th. Whoa, jeez, he's just parked up, gone. There, that is Adam into 8th place. Edward, an invalid lap. Adam on an invalid lap. Anybody trying to do a valid lap? Kai Harris. Seems like Ferraris are once again going for it. Rio Harris down the inside. They leave space towards turn 4. Rio Harris looks for it. James just takes the corner. And in the end, they're still wheel to wheel. Rio with a cutback and with a late send into turn 8 to try to get that position back, but they're going wheel to wheel to turn 10. And Harris is behind. That won't be behind for long unless James Nias can do anything about it. Late braking on the outside. Once again turns in from the outside. Rio Harris was on the inside. Well, Rio has got about double the amount of fuel that James got at the moment. But this, yeah, not too big a deal. Got 5 laps there for Harris. A couple of laps for James Nias. Fluck, meanwhile, getting the job done out on track with the quickest time, which we're just completely missing because it's impossible to see who's actually on a valid lap at this point. So many people go in purple, but then it's actually only valid because they're cutting corners. Nias, they switch positions this time. They lock on and up the inside. Harris now will switch back and goes down the inside, and they make contact again, but we'll see. We'll see here what Parker can do to actually try and see a proper lap. Parker then making his way around that final corner, a little bit unsteady, the Williams, but across the line nevertheless. So he does improve, but he is in that 5th position. Right, anybody else with any spare tyres for laps? They might be saving their softs for the last couple of minutes. Big Fluck going out again, so we might get to see an actual lap from Jake Fluck. This is Mythos Speed, who's peeling into the pit lane. And Ghost has peeled into the pit lane as well. As drivers finish off their current runs. Harris in a medium tyre run And whoa, in the background, it's Edwards sliding off into the gravel. Going wide. The Sauber. So, let's see what Jake Fluck can do. Jake Fluck thought he was getting away with that, but it is, in the end, ruled as an invalidation. You see James Lyons now taking out the bollard on his way to peel back into the pit lane. Jake Fluck doing the same thing. The speed and the soft tyres. Little speed crossing the line, going into 6th position. I think Senor Ghosts has just started a lap, so we'll see him. Just over 6 minutes to go as the rain tumbles down at my house, but in Bahrain it looks beautiful. Is Kai Harris on a push lap? Rio Harris might actually be running up to the line now and does to go quickest. So Rio Harris with 6 and a bit minutes to go is quickest by 22 thousandths of a second. Has anybody else got the tyres to go again? Here's Kai Harris. Goes into 8th. James Nyhus on his way. Jake Fluck is in the pit lane. Did that lap before. James Nyhus, the creative interpretation of track limits. And unsurprisingly, he's going into the pit lane. Adam there in 11th place. Very unstable. Coming out of there. And crosses the line to go into 7th place. As Edward there goes into 9th place. Pushes Tezza down to the slowest time we've seen. So many drivers in the pit lane now. Might be going out for one last run to try the set. The quickest time of testing. We've nearly come to the end of the 2 hours. So the session, the most laps has been done by Mythos Speed, and then Samuel Ghost have just done their program. G's, for example, in the McLaren, 6 laps on the board. So these two, the only 2 out there. Mythos Speed just heading out for another lap. He'll be the first one on the final runs. The speed was by far the highest speed trap, 346 kph. And I'm reading next highest, 333 from Senor Ghosts and Edward Isham. So, try to keep track of this. Mythos Speed. It's going to be the first one. Give us a final attempt. James Nyhus will be next. He's a couple of corners behind. There he is in the background. Coming out. Kai Harris, speeding out of the pit lane now. Get the last few laps here. It's Harris as well now. But it's Mythos Speed to kick us off at the end of testing. There is Rio Harris into turn 1, but Mythos Speed is the one on the proper lap, so into turn 1 manages to hit the apex. Turn 3, not really a corner. Rio Harris warming up his tyres in front. This is where it's easy to run wide. Mythos Speed is who we're watching. Rio Harris up ahead. Mythos Speed within track limits and manages to send it through 6, 7, now 8, gets it slowed down nicely. Through turn 9 now, double left, turn 10 a bit wide, slightly wide of the apex, but it's not too bad of a run for the Haas. James Norris behind, also finding time in the green sector. Nate Smith or speed, the first one on the final lap. So, the speed to turn 14. And crosses the line to go into 5th place. James Norris is on the lap as well. This will be his last one. And into 4th, just under 4/10 off. But now it's Harris. What can Harris do? Harris into turn 4, gets on the power. He's a bit slower than he would have wanted potentially, and he's slightly down his previous best. That was a lot of curb, and that is an invalidation on this lap for Rio Harris. So, who is the next one on the lap? I think Fluck is making his way. And Fluck is ever so slightly down his previous best, but he's doing better than Harris was in terms of he's not invalidated his lap just yet. And Kai Harris is making his way to the last corner now. But we're watching the man going for the quickest time, Jake Fluck. Kai Harris did cross the line. 10th place for him. Jake Fluck to turn 13. And he's up on Harris. He's up on the best time we've seen. Jews is not out there. He's in the pits. So it's Fluck or Harris to be the quickest in this test in Bahrain. Jake Fluck crosses the line, and he does take the fastest time by just over 1/10 of a second. That's Parker crossing the line. Parker in 5th for Williams. We've got these two here, Edward and Senor Ghosts. Senor Ghost spins at the last corner, facing backwards as Edward crashes into the pit wall. But there we go. That is it for testing. It's Jake Fluck with the fastest time.